Okay folks, let's see if we can do this video. I am Erica, hello. I just want to show you how I use my Hobonichi Weeks, just in case there's some interest. Just quickly, everyone seems to show what pens they use, so I just have a Muji gel pen, a Muji pacer, a couple of fountain pens, Pilot 78G. It's what I use most of the time at the moment. And then I have a whole bunch of Sailor Pro Gear Slims. Too many, some might say, but I really enjoy them. Okay, into the weeks. I'm just going to flip through and cover things as they appear. Can always go back in more depth later if people want. So my front cover, sometimes I have post-it notes on here. At the moment I just have this Regent Honey Eater sticker that I designed as a bushfire fundraiser. In here there's just some parity page flags that my friend Danielle gave me. I'm doing my PhD on parrots, so everything in my life is rather parrot themed. This spread, which is the 3 years on 2 pages, I don't really use it for anything. I kind of circled the weeks, like semester weeks at my university, but I never look at this, so it doesn't really matter. This spread is super important for me, so I use this spread to track when and where I'm working and for how long. So one of my main jobs at the moment is as an exam invigilator, so I use green to mark on this spread when exam periods are, and then I'll put a dash if I haven't got a shift. If I do get a shift, then I will write down how many hours I've worked. So here I worked a 3.5 hour exam, and then yellow is my biology teaching lab, and again I write down how many hours, and these coloured dots just represent various reports and timesheets that I need to do for my various jobs. And then I also keep a post-it note with my pay rate per hour for each job, so that I can easily calculate how much I've earned each week. On the weekly spread, this isn't the weekly, on the monthly spread, I mostly use it at the moment for 3 different things. So I get a lot of migraines at least once a week. It's very tedious. So I just keep track of when I get a migraine and then what drugs I take. As I mark down headaches as well, because sometimes they turn into a migraine. Life is great when you get a migraine. And then I have recently added this little tracker to the bottom. And this is just things that I don't need to know that I've done them every day. I just need to know when I last did them. So they're mostly things related to cleaning. So I need to make sure that I change the litter tray at least once a week. If it takes too much time passes, things get a bit stinky. Just need to make sure I try to vacuum once a week at least, do my laundry, change my sheets at least every fortnight. I really need to be better at watering the plants, and I've recently added in keeping track of when I'm social, because as you can see I have turned into a bit of a hermit recently, and then here I was trying to keep track of when I was spending money, but I've switched that to keep track of when I created something, and I really want to get better at doing that more regularly. And then over on the side, this one's a bit better, so I've started keeping track of any purchases or expenses that fall outside my usual fortnightly budget. So my regular budget covers things like rent and bills and then groceries, and I have a set amount for each. And then these are just other things. So if I have if I pay for Netflix this month, if I have to go to the chemist for some drugs, if I get takeaway. So I guess these could be considered unnecessary or unplanned expenses, and it's just nice to keep track of them to make sure that I'm not going completely overboard. So last month this included a whole bunch of expenses for ordering stickers and buying stamps and posting stuff like that, which is why it's so long. And then back here, I accidentally ordered cat food twice. So I'm well stocked on cat food for quite a while, but it did mean that my extra expenses for the month were quite high. So both of these spreads, I just I keep them marked with a little washi tab, which I find quite helpful, and then the monthly one I just move it along every month. So if we go to, oh actually no, keep going, oops. So you get monthly spreads for the whole year, all the way up till March next year. Not doing very well at turning pages today, my apologies. Here we go. So the weeks starts at the end of November, so you get all of December, which is great for people who want to start early or who are desperate to switch into a new planner. I like to stay in the one planner for the whole year if possible, so I don't switch over until January. And that means that there's a bunch of empty weekly spreads at the beginning. And I often hear people bemoaning the fact that there are all these wasted weekly pages. So I just thought that I would share how I use these spare weeklies. So what I've done is I use them as sort of a 14-month future log type thing. So starting from January this year all the way until February next year, you can fit 14 months worth of stuff on this one spread. And I like to use them for things that are really quite important, that I need to keep track of, either deadlines or due dates, or you'll see, I'll show you the rest of the categories. But if they're in my regular Google Calendar, they can get hidden by everything else, all my day-to-day stuff. So this one here is conferences and grants. So as a PhD student, I need to keep track of when conferences are on, when abstracts need to be submitted, and then things like grants. So when grants are due. So what I do is I will just write down the date, so 2nd of March, and then what it is. So this is a conference, so the abstract was due. I've decided, given the current international health situation going on at the moment, I'm probably not going to attempt to go to that conference because it's international, and my university has actually just banned international travel for the foreseeable future. So probably not going to go to that one. But here is a end of the month, 31st is a grant that I need to apply for. So I need to start working on that soon. And then, yeah, like another grant. The registration closes for that conference that I'm probably not going to go to. Other conferences, this is when they're on. And then probably will try and go to this conference because it's local. But yeah, I find these really good. So my next one is job applications, which is super important to keep on top of because I really need a real job. And so similar thing, I just add the date that the application is due and then what it is. Then I check it off when it's done. And I've actually applied for that one, and I need to just add in some more. And I kind of tried adding them to a post-it note too, so I could like chuck it on my weekly page, keep it in view, but it's kind of ended up back here, so I guess that's not working so well. My next one is my science communication activities. So I do a lot of science communication on the side because it's important and it's also really fun. So this is less of a planning future log type thing and more of a log of when I did stuff, I suppose. So in January, this is just, I hosted an account on Twitter for a week. I put together a big Twitter thread of places that you could donate to support wildlife after or during the Australian bushfires. Another Twitter thread, and then I had an interview with the Australian Geographic. Here was a seminar that I had to give, and then here was a bird walk that I just did, so I can actually check that off. Hooray! and I need to add some more stuff in, but nothing's sort of set in stone yet. And then my next one is blog posts. So this is a combination of blog posts that I want to write, and I actually have a huge list written elsewhere as well. And then when I've written and scheduled a blog post, I'll add it to the appropriate month on here. And I haven't done anything for March, but I am planning on writing this one on the weekend. So fingers crossed I get that done. And then my next one is sort of a very optimistic, it's written in pencil so I can change it, plan for kind of getting my thesis finished. So my grand plan was in February I'd finish one chapter, and then in March I'd finish the next one, and then in April. But this is probably going to take a bit longer for various reasons, so this will be changed and updated. And then this week I don't have any other category yet, but I have the space if I need it. And then I didn't actually start using this until the second week of January, because we have our semester doesn't actually start until the end of February here in Australia. So university shuts down for 2 weeks over Christmas and New Year's, and we're supposed to take that time off in lieu of public holidays throughout the year. So I didn't really do anything, and I didn't really do anything like social, so I was just sitting around at home, so I didn't use my planner, which is fine. But then I started using it for stuff. So this is not the most representative spread of how I usually use it, so let's go to the next one. Yeah, let's keep going. Where's a better one? Nah, not this one either. Okay, so here's a good one. So I've been using Weeks for 4 years, and I've basically kept the same general layout for the entire time, just because it works for me, and that's great. And basically what I'll do is, well, firstly, these green marks here, so that just means that I had paid work that day. So it's a quick and easy way for me to see, oh, I get paid for something today, better like make sure I'm paying attention and actually like turn up and do it. And then here I have, on this side of the left-hand page, I have all of my timed things. So here's the paid work. There was an exam that I worked, and then I had an accidental nap in the afternoon, which turned into a migraine, which was great because that was my birthday. And then these things I didn't go to, so I've crossed them out. And I went to the library, went and did some ceramics. Here was another paid work, biology pre-lab, so I just wrote that down. Phone call that I had to have at a certain time. And then on this side, I put in things that I want to get done that day or have to do that day. So here's a report that I have to do on that day. And I wanted to work on some figures. So I did that. Yay, go me. Timesheets are due. Really had to make a call. I had to call about a job that I was applying to. Kept working on those figures. Put together my chapter. Wanted to get the dishes done. And because I was having a birthday party, hooray, I wanted to do my laundry on Friday so that it was all dried and packed away before people showed up on Saturday, because I'd normally do my laundry on Saturday. Oh, and recently I've also started in pencil just noting down when I cooked something, so that, because I cook something and then I'll eat the leftovers for like days and days. And I sometimes forget when it was that I cooked something, so I don't know how old it is. So I've started writing down when I cook so that I can make sure that my leftovers are not going to kill me if I eat them. And then on the right-hand side of the page, I start from the top down. I will write PhD-related tasks. And then from the bottom up, I do my personal or home tasks. And I've recently added like a next week section to this blank-ish spot down here, just stuff that's happening next week that I need to make sure that I don't forget about. And then here was that job application here. I had to compile a whole bunch of different documents and then send it, so I just made its own little section here. And then on Friday, because I had all this spare space, instead of writing my like cleaning checklist before the party, on like a post-it note or back of an envelope or whatever, I just put it in here. So normally that space would be blank. Like back here, there's all this, like, I rarely fill the whole page with actual weekly tasks. So I've started using this space towards the end of the week for like cleaning lists and whatnot. So we'll see another one here. So I had house inspection this week. So because I had all this space left towards the end of the week, I just chucked all of my cleaning tasks on here and just checked them all off. And I also had a bunch of stuff that I wanted to cook, so again, used all that space that was just sitting there. Oh, before someone asks, so these little check boxes over here, something that I've been doing for quite a while. So these are something that I do want to do every day, or every weekday, and just to stop me from needing to like flip back to the monthly or whatever, I just do a little highlighter box here as a checkbox, and then if I do it, I check it off. And it's really good because I can then easily see how I'm doing. So if I'm doing well, so not the best at the moment compared to like this week was fairly good. This week not so much. The week that we're in right now here, I have not done particularly well, but that's okay. What else? Yes, so this is new. I'll just get rid of that. Down here, these little calendars are completely useless in my mind. Like, I don't need to know which week in the month I am. I can tell that already or find that information somewhere else. So what I'm trying to do, I'm testing this out, is turn this into a tiny little weekly tracker. So you can fit, if you ignore the dates, you've got 6 rows, so you can track 6 different habits, I guess, or things that you want to do or keep track of, and then I just colour it in if I do it. And it's not necessarily something I need to do, it's just keeping track of things that happen. So this one is if I spent any money that day, if I went to the supermarket and got groceries, if I cooked anything, I forget these two, they're written down somewhere. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And what else? Anything else on here? Yes, so I started implementing as well last year. There are some things that need to be done. This is a once a year thing, so not quite so relevant. But there are a couple of other things that need to be done every fortnight or every month. And so they're in my Google Calendar, but I also figured, and I found this very helpful, is to have them on a little post-it note so that when I flip to the next page to set out my week, I don't, like, it's already there, and I can just write it down and then move it 2 weeks forward, just as like another extra reminder, because they're pretty important things that need to be done. I've also noted at the top here, I've just written which week in the semester that we're in, because I'm teaching this semester, so it's nice to keep track of what week the undergrads are on. As a PhD student, the week of the semester means nothing to me day to day, but yeah, because I work with undergrads, I need to know what week it is. And then if we go back to the notes pages, oh my god, here we go. All right, notes pages. I don't use the index, so that's empty. Here I have this in every one of my weeks every year. I just keep a note of things that I do that I need to add to my CV, because you'll apply for a job and you'll need your CV, and then you'll be like, oh, what have I done in the last like 2 months that I can add? So I now keep a list here, and then when I've added it to my CV, I just check it off. I make ceramics, so this is just a list of things that I would like to make at some point that might be nice to make. Here are some monthly task lists. I was pretty good in January, got most of my stuff done. Or decided not to do things, and then February and March not so much, but I still have half of March to get all this stuff done, so actually I can check that one off, and I can check that one off. I did that today, and I can cross this one off because that's that conference I decided not to go to. Hooray! What's next? Oh yeah, so a bunch of people recommended a whole heap of TV shows, so I just wrote them down so I didn't forget about them, because if it's not written down, I'm not going to remember. And I've just circled the season if I've watched it, and then I wrote down where it is, so if it's on BBC iView, or if it's on Stan, or if it's on Netflix, or if it's on ABC iView, which is our Australian TV, public TV channel. And that's where Doctor Who lives. And books. So I'm reading a lot of books at the moment, but these are ones that I keep forgetting to borrow from the library. And then if people recommend me more, I need to add them to this list so that I have something to refer to. This is a list of things to cook, or things that I would like to cook. I get stuck in a rut when it comes to cooking, and I will end up cooking the same thing every week, and then I get really bored. So this is just a little spread of things that I like and that I can cook, just for inspiration. And also, like, if I go to the shops and something's on special, like cauliflower is really cheap, then I'll be like, oh yeah, cool, I can make cauliflower soup this week. So it's that's a really handy list. Nothing on the other page. Here, these are just some chapter related lists for my thesis. So foraging is one of my thesis chapters, and it's almost done. So this is just, I've been working on it for a couple of years, so this is not all of the tasks. This is just the ones that I moved over for this year that weren't done when the year started. And then this is my next chapter that I'm working on at the moment, and I'll just keep adding things to it as I work through it, and then get feedback and whatnot. These two spreads, I'm not entirely sure about, which is why they're in pencil. But basically, as I hope most people are aware, earlier in the year in Australia we had really catastrophic, terrible bushfire situation. I don't want to say season, because it was not the normal season. Like, it started way too early and it was way too severe. It was not normal. But anyway, there was a lot of, most of the media attention and fundraisers and everything for wildlife seemed to be based around koalas, which is fine. But the thing is, so I research threatened species, and there are so many more species in Australia that are more threatened than koalas and more severely impacted by the bushfires. But most of the attention was going to koalas, and most of the money was going to things related to koalas and rehabbers and whatnot, which is fine, they need money, but there's also other species and other organisations that need money. So I just wanted to do a little fundraiser to raise awareness of these other forgotten threatened species, and also raise a bit of money to donate to a couple of different organisations that do research-based restoration and surveying for threatened species and whatnot in bushfire-affected areas. So I designed some stickers, and I got them printed, and then I put a shop on my website, and I sold a bunch. And so this one or the other of them, I don't know which one, is just to keep track of the amount, like what I've spent on this. So buying the stickers, updating my website, buying envelopes, buying stamps, all that kind of stuff, just so that I know how much I've put in, so that I can make sure that I donate all the profits to the organisations, because that's the whole point. And it's been pretty successful, but yeah, I'm not sure about these spreads. What's next? Yes, so here, this is just a conference that I was at yesterday, a few notes, and then this is a project that I'm involved in with a bunch of like deadlines and dates and whatnot that I just want to make sure I don't forget about. So I made a little project page, and then if we go back here, I am also a pen nerd. So my local fountain pen, my local pen group, I suppose, we meet up every month and we all nerd out together and try everyone else's pens and test out inks and whatnot. So this is just me testing out a bunch of people's pens at pen meet. And so these are the latest standard bindery inks, which were nice to test out. These ones are my favourite, Road Trip Clear Seas. I like my bright, colourful inks. And this is my own pen log. So this is very, very tiny compared to previous years. In past years, I had like half a page for every single one of my fountain pens, and I would change inks like fairly frequently, every few weeks or every month, and I'd just write it down. But at the beginning of last year, I injured my hand and I had hand surgery, and I wasn't able to use my hand and I wasn't able to write, and I've still had issues with it. So I just haven't been writing as much as I used to. So I didn't even bother putting those spreads in my weeks last year or this year. And now I'm just going to keep a little running list of pens as I ink them. But I've only done 2 so far. So I want to get back into it though, because it's fun. More playing around with pens from January, I think. Yeah, January. These are the random measurement pages. Here we go. So, like many other people, I tested out some mild liners, and this is just so I can remember what they look like. And then here, so this is actually Diamine Earl Grey in a fountain pen, and I have discovered that it does not smear or bleed or anything or feather if you highlight over it on Tomo River paper. So if you are a fountain pen user and you would like to be able to write in your Hobonichi and then highlight over it, then Diamine Earl Grey is the way to go. Plus it's just like a generally nice ink anyway. More parrotty related things, although that's not a parrot, that's toucan. The rest are parrots. Oops, what's happening? Random post-it notes with stuff on them. That was my email address. So here, this is the photocopier code for my office, and then I also have underneath here my grant numbers, which I need. This is my. I wrote this one day when I was drew this one day when I was very annoyed with my PhD a few years ago. So this is basically my fieldwork summed up. So I study cockatoos, and I would be chasing them around, trying to find them, which was difficult in itself, and then recording them so I can work out what they like to do and what they like to eat and where they like to hang out. So this is me yelling at a cockatoo. And then just down here in the back pocket, I've got, this is a sticker, another bushfire fundraiser sticker that my friend made. This is not my study species, but it is very closely related to my study species. This is a glossy black cockatoo, and I study red-tailed black cockatoos. And then here I ordered a little sample pack from Sticker Mule to see if I wanted to use them for the next batch of stickers that I make, and this is one of the samples, and I really like it. It's very sums up my mood on many days in academia. And then I just have, this is a really nice some art business card from an artist that I really like, Helen Ansell. She's great. And then some important post-it notes that I hid. Oh, another sticker of a cat. And then some blog post ideas that I haven't written in anywhere. So that is that. Hope that was useful or enlightening for some people. I don't use a cover on cover or anything. I don't like the plasticky feel. I much prefer the feel of the bookbinding fabric. And yeah, so that's my weeks. Still pretty skinny. Hope that was helpful. Let me know if you want me to go into any more detail, or if you want to see my old weeks or anything like that, or all of my millions of pens. I may or may not have a problem. It's all sailor pens. But yeah, anyway, until next time.